I followed Tesla for a long time. I think right now, maybe even this week, we've had more fundamental changes with the company than I can remember ever. I mean, the terafab is now happening. Tesla and XAI and this agentic path is now happening. There's massive shakeup at XAI right now. Elon is reorganizing that company. Ashok seems to be overseeing that. Cybercab and Semi are getting ready for production. I could go on and on. So on one hand, we have more paradigm changing, company altering plans from Tesla than we've ever had before. But on the other hand, I think we have more people following Tesla that are confused, maybe disillusioned, upset with progress. They're sick and tired of the promise after promise of the future, next year, a few years, it's coming. And a lot of people just want something to be delivered now. And I get it. It's been a long 5 years. Profitability has stalled and retreated. And it's a fact, Tesla stock was higher back in November 2021 than it is today. So I think we have to at least acknowledge the folks that are upset a bit and maybe are frustrated and feel like Tesla, the company they knew and loved, is now completely different, going a different direction. Maybe there's some distraction taking place. I just want to acknowledge these concerns and frustrations are not unfounded. However, I want to do everything I can to try to make all of this change as clear as possible so we can all understand why Tesla is doing this and why now. And most importantly, why I personally do believe that for the next 3, 5, 7, 10 years, these decisions Tesla is making are the right ones. But one of them, I have to admit, I am not positive. Today's video, the State of the Union, is going to be a bit different, not as news focused. We'll still cover everything, but thanks to all of your comments, I now understand that some of you are still not grasping this whole agentic AI. And so primarily, I want to make sure that everybody here understands this next phase and why it's so important and why Tesla's approach is going to be different and better than the competition, at least as planned. And I just want to go over some things and share some thoughts because truly, I'm assuming some of you are also overwhelmed because I'm having moments of overwhelm trying to keep track of everything going on. The AI space alone is moving so fast. Every week there's a new breakthrough, a new company with a new feature or a new tool. And as we know, Tesla is an AI company, so those worlds are colliding more than they ever have. And last thing real quick, it was killing me not to upload Thursday and Friday, but I did tell you guys I'm not out of the woods yet for behind the scenes stuff with Electrified and this career reset going on. With each passing day, we're getting a bit closer, but there's still a lot going on behind the scenes, so thank you for your understanding. One thing I wanted to clarify. Last episode, I talked about the AI4 and the cost being $650. There were some comments that the actual cost for AI4 would be $1,300 because there are two AI4 system on chips for each module. My understanding was that when Elon said AI4, he was talking about the entire chip model that would include two AI4 SoCs. So that was my read. I could certainly be wrong on it. It's either 650 or 1300. Either way, Tesla is incredibly well positioned from an inference compute standpoint. I'm sure most of you have seen it by now, but Elon's post on this agentic AI that Tesla's now pursuing, it will work on all AI4 cars, so you can do office work when the car is not driving. And Tesla's also deploying millions of dedicated digital Optimi units in the field at superchargers where they have around 7 gigawatts of available power. And Max from Tesla said the supercharging teams will be helping to get digital Optimus units energized, especially at the long distance superchargers where they already have the infrastructure built, and a lot of the times outside of holidays, it sits idle. Also, no worries, I will fix my lighting in future episodes. I'm working on a whole new setup, getting ready for some interviews and just, again, shaking things up. And Elon said this very feature could be available in 6 months, which is exactly what we talked about. The path to market for digital Optimus should be much faster and easier than physical. Some of you may have seen that Brightspeed data breach that just exposed over 1 million customers' personal info, names, emails, addresses, all of it. Well, Surfshark, the sponsor of this video, actually just put out a new feature that could help you avoid sites like that before you even click them in the first place. Surfshark's browser extension now shows safety badges right inside your Google search results, so before you even click on a link, you can see if that website has has had a data breach or if it has malware. Surfshark flagged over 141,000 online threats last year alone, so this is a layer of protection I didn't really know I needed, but now I'd rather not browse without. And if you're signing up for new sites this year, which most of us are, Surfshark's alternative ID lets you use a completely separate name, email, and number so your real info never touches those databases in the first place. Pair that with Surfshark's email scam checker in Chrome and Gmail that uses AI to flag phishing attempts before you fall for them, and I think that makes for a pretty comprehensive setup. Surfshark also just completed a brand new independent security audit with 0 critical vulnerabilities found, and they've rolled out post-quantum encryption, which will future-proof your data against any next-gen threats. And one account still covers unlimited devices for your whole family, and this list is not even close to an exhaustive feature set when it comes to all of what Surfshark offers. So if you'd like to support the work I do here, you can go to surfshark.com/electrified or use code electrified at checkout to get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN. And now, if you already understand agentic AI, then feel free to skip ahead a little bit. I just want to do my best to not leave anybody behind. When you hear agentic AI, just think of like a sports agent and what they do. They're the ones coming up with the contracts. They're setting the meetings, negotiating the contracts, trying to get their players the best deal that they can. They're the ones actually executing all of the work, and the player is giving the instructions on what they want the agent to actually do. So all this agentic AI really is you give a command, you tell the computer what you want it to do, maybe build me a Tesla financial model, and then you sit back and do nothing and the computer builds it itself. And now Tesla's position getting into all of this, where there is admittedly a lot of competition. But we know that one of the main bottlenecks right now is access to power. The interconnection queues can be months long at this point. So these companies getting access to new power is not easy. Tesla, meanwhile, has 7 gigawatts of available power sitting ready to use. So rather than all of that power at superchargers just sitting idle, Tesla is now going to plug in some AI4 racks to tap into that already existing power, and then to have those AI4 chips actually become agents. And we also know what Tesla has at a lot of supercharging locations, which is Wi-Fi. One simple example of how it could work: we get a software update, we talk to Grok just like we do now. So let's say I need to find a local contractor in my city to build a custom deck, and they have to be highly rated on Yelp. So I would explain this to Grok and tell it to research and find the best 3 options, and then send an email to all 3 requesting an appointment for a quote. And then from there, the team of AI4 and Grok and XAI servers would work together and either tap into the user interface of your car or even your computer at home or a laptop with you, and that becomes the workspace where Digital Optimus, as we call it, goes to work. It navigates the screen and does the task while you sit there. And a lot of the agentic AI right now, as you're seeing on the screen, you can actually see what it's thinking and what it's doing. So you can watch it, do the research and browse the web and write the emails and send the emails in real time and so on. And even if you don't have a laptop in the car with you, Grok in time should be able to connect to Google Drive or your file system and then work on your spreadsheets and your documents and your emails with the car's AI4 chip and Grok as the project manager. But the cost structure here is going to be critical, as you'll see shortly. Other companies like Anthropic and Perplexity are building AI data centers, paying billions of dollars for land, construction, facilities, power interconnects, cooling, and so on. Tesla and xAI already have all of that. They have data centers and supercharger locations and that 7 gigawatts of available power, and the best inference hardware in the world with AI4. Meaning Tesla's cost per inference unit should be a fraction of the traditional cloud-based structure. And just to be clear, Tesla's AI4 is way more powerful than the Mac Mini. It's designed to handle video data from 8 different camera feeds in real time. So taking in video data from one screen is going to be a joke for AI4. And this should work out to be a big differentiator, because most of the agentic AI right now, the competition is cloud-based, which at this point is still quite expensive, as I'll show you. But Tesla and xAI are planning to do a lot of the computing tasks locally on the car with AI4, only having to reach out to the cloud for further instruction every now and then. And perhaps the biggest differentiator for Tesla, most software automation right now requires custom integrations for every single app you want to control. Excel, Google Sheets, Google Drive, browsing the web, Gmail, the list goes on, and it's usually through APIs or scripts. But Digital Optimist sounds like it's going to skip all of that. It will literally just watch the screen like a human, operating on that pixels in and controls out just like FSD, which would mean in theory it would work with any software. It does not need permission from app developers. It handles any problems on the screen because it sees them directly and can jump from one app to another seamlessly. And so just like with FSD, it outputs control of the wheel and of the pedal and so on. And in a similar fashion, controls can also be mapped to moving a cursor and simulating keystrokes instead. Another differentiator, most of the agentic AI right now works on still images or screenshots. And don't get me wrong, it's still very useful, but it's limited. Digital Optimist, on the other hand, will work with video of the screen, so any errors or pop-ups or menu navigations that are totally up to date, not relying on an outdated screenshot, means it's going to handle whatever comes up directly in the screen. And as far as we know, Digital Optimist would be the only one able to do that. So when the mouse moves to a certain point and a menu pops up, you get more options. When you hit submit, the button changes color and a new page loads. So over time, the AI is going to learn all of this just like we have, and again, it'll react in real time. So eventually, Digital Optimist will have a complete UI world model from pixels alone and a neural network to look at those raw pixels and instantly understand all of it. And this is very different than existing options that use certain tools like APIs, browser DOMs, and different hooks. And DOMs are just document object models, which is basically a map of a web page structure in code form. But Digital Optimist will just see the screen like we do. No tools or hacks or workarounds needed at all. And right now, you basically need a different tool or a workaround for each different app or interface or platform that you want to use, which is laborious, slow, expensive, and unreliable. But with Digital Optimist, all of that is removed. So anything with a screen, Windows, Mac, Linux, web apps, legacy tools, video games, it will just know how to navigate it and operate it, all while being hyper efficient with the ability to scale to massive numbers thanks to Tesla's vehicle fleet and AI series production already in place. And so Tesla's solution, the way they're describing it, should be a lot faster, a lot more reliable, much more efficient than other options available on the market now. But this is what I want to show you. This is my Perplexity computer backend. So every month for $200 a month, you get 10,000 credits. And you'll see right here, my usage for this month so far is 5,079 credits. And here, I just plugged in some random tasks that would make sense for this video of things that I could do for my Electrified channel. Really just testing it so I can learn what's going on, but you'll see basically in one night, I burnt through half of my available credits for the month, which effectively means I spent $100 in one night using this agentic AI. And mine was all text-based. You'll see I didn't do anything with video or audio. So my guess would be that this feature is not going to be free and unlimited for Tesla owners with AI4. Over time, costs will certainly come down, but right now they're still pretty high. Now, could Tesla cut these costs by 70% because so much of the compute is done locally on Tesla's inference compute? I think absolutely that's possible. But I think we at least have to consider there might be another subscription to actually use this feature, or it'll be capped. But really, who knows? Maybe Tesla decides to eat all of those costs just to offer the feature and get it out there for the marketing. Because of course, in the early days, this is not going to be a core part of Tesla's business. But by far, one of the main takeaways here is that Tesla's inference efficiency and intelligence density per gigabyte should come into play in a major way here. As it is right now, it's very easy to burn through credits with the current agentic AI on the market that is primarily cloud-based. If Tesla and xAI can primarily pull this off locally, not having to constantly reach out to the cloud because it has this neural network and understanding of the world model in pixels in these screens, without having to use APIs and all of these other tools, that is a major breakthrough. But it's also true that we know xAI is currently the laggard when it comes to agentic AI and coding. And as I've been defending them online, they started late. And Elon just admitted that he hired wrong at XAI, but he's fixing all of that now. And listen, I know some of you are sick of hearing things like this, but Elon just said today, XAI will catch up this year and then exceed them all by such a long distance in 3 years that you'll need the James Webb telescope to see who's in second place. So the vision for Elon and XAI is finally abundantly clear. If you missed it, Elon has been poaching some really solid top talent from the competition, and the speed run to catch up and eventually leapfrog the AI competition is fully on. But in this case, Elon and XAI are actually playing catch up, and the leaders are certainly not standing still. And of course, XAI still needs to prove that it can do agentic AI well. To put some context on that 7 gigawatts of power that Tesla has, that's roughly enough power for 5 to 6 million average American homes at one time. And again, that power is already in place, connected, largely sitting idle with cooling and everything required. So these new AI4 racks are just going to be plugged into that infrastructure, avoiding all of the current connection queues and costs associated. And let's assume AI4 uses about 150 watts, which is very efficient. 7 gigawatts would be enough to run around 40 million AI4 chips at full speed. And yes, long-term, theoretically, Tesla could offer subscriptions to third parties if companies wanted to rent out some of these AI workers that will be installed around the world at supercharger locations. However, Tesla's going to have to develop a competitive advantage to bring people to actually do that because there will be plenty of options available. But it all, at the end of the day, boils down to the cost advantage that Tesla and XAI should have. Digital Optimus just working natively, locally, on the screens with AI4, not having to access the cloud where the compute costs are much higher. That is the breakthrough that no other company has figured out. And what do we always say? Tesla has the very best inference compute in the world. And that, paired with all the power that Tesla already has, and the fleet of AI4 vehicles Tesla already has, and the data centers that XAI and Tesla already have, I hope the light bulb is at least flickering a little bit to understand why this could be so special. And I'll be the first person to tell you there are plenty of risks with this agentic AI, one of which is prompt injection hacks. So let's say you're at a supercharger, you tell Grok to read your emails, give you the 5 most important ones, and then respond to 3 of them. What if somebody sends you an email with instructions to give over all of your credit card and banking information? It could be laid out in plain text, or it could be hidden in an image. That is prompt injection risk. And sure, a lot of these newer models are getting a lot better at defending against that, but it's certainly not bulletproof. And that's why personally, I have not yet given any of these agents access to any of my most important documents without backing them up in the cloud separately, just in case something goes sideways and everything gets deleted or destroyed or whatever. But to me, it could not be clear where all of this is headed. There's going to be a world where we will open our Tesla app from anywhere on Earth. We will prompt Grok, whether with text or our voice, and then our Tesla vehicles will be powering all of the work that we need done, and it will do it for us. And I know it sounds absolutely insane if you're not familiar with this world, but I can assure you this is where it's headed. Whether it's 2 years or 5 years, I cannot tell you, and to some degree is here already. And so eventually we'll just be able to say, Grok, build me a Tesla website with the history of the company and the current Wall Street price targets in a community forum section to connect with other Tesla fans, and a membership section where I can charge $10 a month for exclusive content and interviews. And then as you sit in your house or in your car, Digital Optimus will just do the work for you. It will build all of it and host it, and then you can tweak it. And as I've seen with my own eyes with some of these frontier models, that capability already exists today. Maybe not one shot, but with a few tweaks, and if you know what you're doing, it's already happening. And again, if you want an easy way to familiarize yourself with this world, I would recommend Perplexity Computer. It's now available to pro users for just $20 a month, but you'll have the ability to give it whatever crazy task you want to try to give it and see what it can do. And I really don't think I need to explain the upside in the addressable market of all of this. Any job or task that is done on a screen, any game that is played on a screen, in time is likely to be done better better by digital optimists or the competition's agentic AI. And for Tesla and XAI, a lot, I would argue, almost all of the infrastructure and hardware and software is already in place or in the works. So given that this is where the world is headed and the addressable market is so incredibly massive, I think it would be a mistake for Tesla and XAI not to pursue this. So I understand it may feel like a distraction, and we want things like Summon and 14.3, so we don't want to hear that Ashok's attention is taken away from FSD at all. And just real quick on that point, people out there are saying that Ashok is now overseeing MacroHard and like he's leaving the autopilot team. There's mixed reporting out there on it right now. For me, I'm guessing Elon just temporarily wants Ashok to oversee the XAI team and all of the work that they've done to get them on the right track as quickly as possible. And further, to get their team integrated with Tesla's team and structure and tools, since again, they have that partnership now. And of course, for somebody as brilliant as Ashok, Elon's gonna want his hand in as many cookie jars as possible. But I would imagine once XAI hires some new talent and gets them integrated and gets all of the team settled and heading the right direction, then Ashok can come back and focus on FSD if he needs to. Shifting gears a bit, you may have seen CERN shared some images of the Cybercab at the pop-up currently underway in Austin, but you'll see the stickers on the Cybercab right here. This vehicle conforms to all applicable US FMVSS, which means Tesla has officially said, we believe this meets every rule and we do not need an exemption, which is the massive step of clarification that I personally was waiting for. Now, this is just a self-certification from Tesla, so NHTSA could absolutely still challenge Tesla's interpretation. But for now, Tesla is saying we meet all of the criteria and we will not be subject to that 2,500 unit cap, which, as we were hinting at last week, Tesla has not filed for any Part 555 exemption, and with Cybercab production starting in a few weeks, we would have likely seen that if they thought they would need the exemption. So until further notice, and unless NHTSA is going to challenge Tesla's interpretation and self-certification here, then the Cybercab will not need that Part 555 exemption, and it will not be subject to the 2,500 unit cap, which, yes, I don't need to explain, is absolutely great news. So Tesla's now free to scale the Cybercab. Now, I do think a lot of this debate around if FSD is solved or not comes down to semantics and what each person means by being solved. But I'm personally saying I think we should stop saying that, because in my eyes, it's not actually solved until Tesla is deploying hundreds and thousands of unsupervised robotaxis. Until then, it will remain very close, but if it was truly solved, meaning the software was as safe as it needed to be, I'm pretty confident Tesla's not going to gatekeep this technology and only have one unsupervised robotaxi riding around Austin if it was really ready to be scaled. Some people are saying regulations are holding it back, but in Austin, that's not the case. Tesla is free to have as many unsupervised robotaxis in Austin as it wants, and as far as we can tell, it's choosing to have one. Now, I've said the third-party robotaxi tracker should not be taken as gospel, but Holmars is arguing that 22% of Tesla's Austin fleet is now unsupervised. I asked him where he got that number, but he didn't respond directly. But I just wanted to be clear, the way I am defining solved is it's ready to actually scale. Because as we know, it's never going to be done. It's always going to continue getting better. More data coming in, bigger fleets, more edge cases churned out, continually refined into perpetuity. Models becoming smarter and more efficient, and so on. But truly, I would love to hear from you guys. How are you defining solved for FSD? Do you think it's solved, or are we not there yet? For me, of course, I think we're very close, but I am very much in the camp that we are not there yet. Now, if we get to 100 unsupervised vehicles where any random person can go to Austin and get an unsupervised vehicle relatively easy without 60 tries or without knowing all of the hacks and the specific geofence it's operating in right now, you know, the original geofence that's inside of the bigger geofence. And listen, even if Omar's number that he threw out there of 22% being unsupervised is true, if the fleet's around 50, that's only roughly 10 unsupervised vehicles. vehicles. To me, that's very much still more of a testing, beta, validation phase than actually saying, hey, we're done, it's good, we can absolutely scale now. Because again, for me, that's what solved means. I just keep looking at my screen and realizing how brutal the lighting is right now, so apologies, but all the new stuff is in transit. Let's do some speed running of our own here. So this Tesla converting XAI investment into SpaceX stake, so many people were framing this news as some event that means a Tesla and SpaceX merger is now much more likely. In my opinion, that's absolutely not the case. This was effectively just administrative. All this was that $2 billion that Tesla already invested into XAI months ago being converted to reflect a stake in SpaceX, aka the new SpaceX AI entity. So yes, Tesla investors now officially own a portion of SpaceX, under 1%, really not going to be material for Tesla investors. So really, this was effectively a nothing burger. There's just a lot of people in the community right now that are reaching for anything to make it seem like Tesla and SpaceX are about to merge. Plenty of people really would love to see that happen, and look, I totally understand why. But again, this specifically, effectively a non-event. Tesla did get the green light to start supplying electricity to British homes, so Tesla's now officially approved as an electricity supplier in the UK. The S&P 500 is considering changes to rules governing how companies join the index. This could potentially fast-track SpaceX's entry after IPO. The index provider is engaging with stakeholders to determine whether there's demand for changing the rules, but for now, no decision has been made. And further, the S&P would still have to launch a formal consultation that would last several weeks before any changes can be made. Honda is facing its first annual loss in almost 70 years as a listed company after its $15.7 billion restructuring charge tied to its EV business. Some photos are coming out from the pop-up in Austin, and Owen said that the window switches and the USB-C ports on the Cybercab have been moved to under the screen, which is odd because that means the cords would have to run from the screen across the leg area all the way to the seat, whereas previously they were right on the seat by the cup holder. So again, plenty of folks are throwing around production version, and we still have a few weeks, so Tesla might continue to make some final tweaks before production. Just FYI on the whole Ashok situation, so here Financial Times said Elon has redeployed Eliswamy, head of AI software at Tesla, to reboot the macro hard effort and review the work done previously. So to me, that does not mean that Ashok's leaving the autopilot team and now just leading macro hard. It seems very temporary, just using Ashok to help get things on track. We won't go into specifics today when it comes to what's going on at XAI, but Elon did say XAI was not built right the first time around, so it's being rebuilt from the foundations up. On one hand, you can argue Elon made a mistake with his hiring at XAI. That's not good. On the other hand, you can argue at least Elon is able to admit he made a mistake and can pivot when need be. Elon said many talented people over the past few years were declined an offer or even an interview at XAI. My apologies. Barris and I are going through the company interview history and reaching back out to promising candidates. Tesla has a job listing up right now in Palo Alto for a senior program manager for robotaxi customer operations. The focus will be on delivering exceptional rider experiences. Sparking the debate, AI driver shared a photo from the Cybercab UI that does show a pedals and steering option. However, David Moss shared this photo of the steering wheel on the Cybercab. And I think most of us would agree this little number right here would not be something that makes it into production. But yes, that was a little setup on my part. We had Holmar saying it's just standard Tesla software that's running on all cars. The Cybercab does not have a frunk, but it still says open frunk. That shared in an image from David Moss. And Eric, the lead Cybercab engineer today, said this is correct. So the in-car software for the Cybercab, at least for these vehicles, is just standard It has not yet been modified to be specific to Cybercab. Elon did give a new interview with Peter Diamandis. The biggest takeaway was that he said Optimus 3 production would begin this summer, and that could certainly be interpreted as a pulling forward of production. But as we know, production start has changed numerous times. Early last year, the plan was to start production late last year. Then the plan was to start production late this year. Now it's summer of this year. And of course, I can't close this video without touching on Elon's tweet, "Terafab project launches in 7 days." I'll admit, a part of me really thought that all of that public commentary from Elon was just to get all of these silicon makers to make more chips. But whether that was the plan and it failed or not, either way, the Tesla Terafab is apparently a real thing. I believe this is the biggest undertaking in Tesla's history. Financially, the capex for this alone is likely to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $10 to $30 billion. This factory will not be producing chips for at least 2.5 to maybe 4 years. I want to be clear, the success of this fab is certainly not guaranteed. Just like for a period of time, we thought Tesla wasn't going to crack the code with dry battery electrode tech. Elon said publicly that it was way harder than we thought and they were going back to the wet method. So it really is wild that we have a truly company-altering post like this on a random Saturday just casually from Elon. And truly, the fact that Elon and Tesla believe this is required to not be bottlenecked by chip limitations tells us everything we need to know about the scale Tesla is planning to hit. And you guys are smart. You know, long-term, if Tesla can pull this off, it's going to bring with it a long list of benefits. But before we get to that point, there's going to be a long list of costs and likely setbacks and challenges. So it'll be fascinating for our purposes here to get to document and cover all of this stuff that's going on at Tesla. But if you're a Tesla investor that came into the company for electric vehicles and energy storage and maybe a little bit of autonomy, we just all have to accept that that narrative alone has completely been blown up. And obviously, it's still a part of the picture. But Optimus, full-on autonomy, data centers in space, terafabs, agentic AI. Tesla is 100% morphing right before our eyes. So listen, I know that people are frustrated with timelines and expectations and what feels like distractions. I think to a certain degree, that really is all valid. And if you're in a situation where you needed Tesla stock to be up by now or you need it up soon, truly, I feel for you. But if you're somebody that's a long-term investor and has another 3, 5, 7, 10 years, I would vehemently make the argument that Tesla's positioning and the addressable markets it's going after is 100% unmatched by any other company on planet Earth. There's immense work to be done, but the culture at Tesla, the efficiency at Tesla, the leverage and the foundation and the software, the world models that will be used in hardware, also vertically integrated at Tesla. The scaling will come. If you're somebody that actually doubts that, Tesla's ability to scale, FSD and or Optimus, then I've said many times, respectfully, you should not own Tesla stock. So we all have a lot of new things to learn in the weeks ahead if we really want to continually understand Tesla incredibly well. Not everybody loves change, but I am indeed perpetually curious, and I have to admit, a lot of the time I really enjoy change. But at the end of the day, Tesla is going through a transformation that really is unprecedented for a $1.5 trillion company to make changes on the fly like this, taking massive risks in entirely new industries like a silicon fab, is just the reality of Elon staying at the forefront, being a couple steps ahead of everyone else, and pivoting to do what he believes is required based on what the technology is enabling. And that right there is the crux of everything. The technology, both from a hardware and software perspective, has progressed so much in just the past 6 to 12 months that what is possible and what our vision for the future is has pretty dramatically been changed. So you have to ask yourself, would you really prefer that Elon and Tesla sit on the sidelines for all of these new industries that are now possible for the first time in human history? Now, again, if you're a swing trader or a short-term investor, the answer for you is probably yes. But as we know, Tesla plays the long game. It is not concerned with the short term, it is concerned with building the future. And so I bet you can guess the one thing I have questions about is Tesla's Terafab. However, if there is a silver lining, and I think that there is, it's that Tesla will surely have help from companies like Samsung and TSMC. Tesla won't get free IP, but it's very clearly developed a partnership more than just a customer type relationship with Samsung. And if anybody has the ability to attract the top talent needed and to solve hard problems, we already know it's Elon Musk. So we might have to sit tight for another few months, or who knows, maybe for the rest of this year. But I really don't think it's hard to envision this future, where Cybercab is actually starting to scale to multiple cities, where Optimus enters production and starts doing work in Tesla's factory, where the Semi is in production and company orders are coming in, where Tesla Energy and Megablock continue its generational run, where agentic AI in some capacity is available on Tesla vehicles sometime later this year. And I think a lot of you would agree with me that everything I just said has a very realistic chance of happening in the next 12 months. And listen, many of us from a stock perspective have already waited 5 years, so at this point, what's another 12 months? And as I always say, once those milestones happen and they give Wall Street the validation it needs to build new financial models and start pricing in some of that revenue and profitability, that will be the time Tesla stock finally moves. Of course, barring the macro, that is the lid always. So the State of the Union, for me right now, it is truly as strong as ever, arguably with more risk and uncertainty than ever. And I do think that's a big reason why not everybody loves this massive transition. But the truth is, if you're invested in a company like Tesla, you do it for the upside. You don't invest in a company like Tesla to protect your capital. And so to boil it all down, in my humble opinion, there is no company on planet Earth with more upside over the next 10 years than Tesla. And frankly, I really do not even think it's close. But I hope you all enjoy the rest of your weekend, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.